Hello everyone, it's Baptiste, and today I am going to be providing you with a guide on which comms to give in matches. For anyone who doesn't know, comms is short for communication or communications, in the sense that they're like callouts that you give to your team. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So first of all, for the tank role, it varies based on whether you are an off tank or a main tank. However, um, the calls will generally be related to focusing targets, which position on the map they should hold, when they should make like a rotation, like switching to a different position on the map. And yeah, so like with Diva, right? Like a dive hero, like other than like Rhine Diva, like you don't really see like any. Hold on, I'm gonna turn on my game volume. You don't really see like any compositions that Diva is usually like in, and since Rhine Diva like isn't played like as much anymore, it's played on occasion, but like there are better comps such as Arisa Sigma and Rhine Zarya. But anyways, you want to call out your dives when you're going with a Winston or a ball. So for example, let's say this individual was playing Ana, you'd want to like matrix the Winston in, right? And say, oh, like Winston, I'm matrixing you. And then like you can go in and I didn't rock it while I was matrixing. Hold on, I'll try it again. But okay, so basically like you'd want to call when you will dive that target, right? You burst them down, and then after that like you move on to the next target or like disengage depending on the situation. So yeah, you just want to be able to like call your dives. Like callouts are really important as a tank. Like they're really important in Overwatch in general, but especially important with tank because tank is the most powerful role in the game, and if you aren't communicating with your team effectively, then you're missing out on a lot of potential value that you can have. And that's why ball one tricks out of voice, just like spinning around the map, are kind of notorious because or not even ball one tricks, just like people just like out of voice, like doing their own thing. I was just on the subject of tank. It's like comms are so important, and I'll be saying that like a couple times throughout this video. So yeah, now as main tank, let's stick on the dive tank role. So for Winston, you also want to be like calling your dives, or you should say oh, I'm jumping on their Ana, focus Ana, and then like generally I feel like the Diva should be providing you with more callouts from like when they have like Matrix or whatnot. But like as a Winston, you need to be communicating with your other tank on when you're gonna dive and like who you are going to dive, right? And if you need to like engage, disengage, like whatever you want to do. So yeah, I'd say even though Divas sometimes give more calls because of Matrix, like Winston I'd say like is equally as important in many situations. So ball, you also call out your engagements, but you call out like when you're rolling through, when you have mines, and like you don't like call out constantly like Monkey or Diva. Like you don't go like you don't like go up, like pounce on a target and then like go back. Often you need to like roll through the enemy team and then select a target from them and then like go for it because like unlike Monkey or Diva, like ball you don't necessarily always have to isolate a target and then like kill them, right? Especially like Diva, you have to isolate a target and kill. Monkey, it's more lenient, but that's beside the point. For ball, you can just like disrupt the entire enemy team, like boop tanks outside of their team's range, so that way it like nullifies their value and just kind of like disorient them overall. Just disrupt the enemy team and prevent them from engaging, building alt charge, and yeah, just like split them too. Like that's why ball is so strong. You can just like split people for free, and well, not like for free, but you have like 600 HP, you have adaptive shields, and you can get like over 1000 health if you like get all your shields on the enemy team, and like you're insanely fast. So I mean, yeah, he's really strong. But always like on the topic of comms, like always call like when you're grappling in, when you're pile driving, You know, you don't necessarily need to call like when you're disengaging, like especially if you're not on a dive comp. But you know, like in a competitive environment, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But you know, it's not like necessary. So, now for Arisa Sigma, I'll start with Arisa. Arisa, you always want to call your pulls 100% of the time. You always want to call your pulls, and you always want to call like when your shield's getting low as well. So you can say like pulling, or like how many people you're pulling. If there's like a specific person, you could say, for example, right, like pulling Widow off high ground, pulling Ashe off high ground, pulling like Hanzo. So that way, like your team can follow up. Since like Genji is played with Arisa Sigma now, you know, like for the meta, like Genji will always want to like dash into the pulls to get value. And build his blade, because the enemy team will all be grouped up and Genji can land an easy combo. So that's very beneficial to do, because it provides your team with picks, and it helps their ult economy. So I guess it's like you can say like, oh, I have a new shield in like 3 seconds, or like shield is cracking. That's also very important. Like you don't need to say when your fortifies like offer on cooldown necessarily, but yeah, like pull and like call your pulls, like who you're pulling, like if it's like 1 or 2 people, or like the entire team, like call like I'm pulling the whole team, or the whole team's like pulled, and like call when you have your next barrier and if your barrier is low. And also for all the heroes, you want to call when you have your ultimate, right? Like even if you're like Tracer and you have like pulse bomb, right? So Ryan, you want to like you want to call when your barrier's low, and you want to call when you have shatter. Other than that, you can say to your Zarya, like if you have a Zarya on your team, like, oh, do you have bubble? I'm engaging, you know, and then you're chilling. So yeah, that's basically it. Like just communicate like with your Zarya, like when you're engaging, because as a Ryan, like you don't want to like run it down mid and provide the enemies with a pick, because that will grant them with ult charge, make it to 65, and you're like 80% to 90% like more likely to lose that fight. So Roadhog, or sorry, Zarya, like I was saying earlier with Reinhardt, you want to call when you have your bubbles, and like since you are the Zarya, right, you want to call when you have your bubbles, and you also want to like say, oh, I don't have my bubble, right? It's not just like, oh, I have bubble so now you can go in. It's like, oh, I don't have bubble so don't go in yet. I have bubble in like 4 seconds, right? So that's very important to call. Also calling like combos with Grav is very crucial. For example, like with Hanzo, like Grav Dragon. That's super important. And yeah, that's about it. So for Sigma, you want to be calling like shields and whatnot. You can say like if someone's like stunned by a rock, and if you have your gravity flux. But I mean, other than that, you're fine. You know, a lot of tanks is like calling when you have your cooldowns, so that way your team can make plays. That's a lot of what like the tank role is, just like enabling your team based off of your cooldowns. Like especially like for off tank, I feel like, because let's say like you're Zarya, you bubble a Rhinen or a Genji, and then they can make a play, and then if damage is inflicted upon them, then you know the Zarya is actually rewarded for that, and then they get like 40 charge and do like a lot more damage. So Roadhog, Roadhog, you know, he's kind of like you're by yourself, so you make a lot of plays alone, but like kind of similar to Ball, but like I feel like you make more plays alone as Hog than, you know, any of the other tanks. He's just like a DPS with a lot of health. So if you're on Arisa Hog, which I don't recommend, Arisa Hog's not very good right now, but if you are on Arisa Hog, make sure to always call your pulls, or always call when you have hook. Try to synergize with Arisa, and if you can't, then call that you're switching off Roadhog. But yeah, you can just say, you know, like if someone's hooked, or like if you're flanking, like where you're flanking, like who you're going for, so that way it will give your team an opportunity to push up upon that pick that the Hog gets. So, all right, I'm gonna speed up a little bit here. Ashe, call like who's on fire, like not necessarily when you're gonna throw your dynamite, but who is on fire is very crucial. and if you have Bob, and like when you're gonna do it, because Bob is very good for disrupting the enemy team. So you want to have it up as frequently as possible and call when you will Bob. So Bastion is an extremely unorthodox character, right? Because like, you know, he's stationary, and if you get like pushed, you need to like rotate constantly, and you know, like his main like value comes from his like sentry form. So what you want to do is actually at the start of the round call a comp around Bastion, because if you're playing Bastion and you don't have like a comp like around you, you know, like double shield or like a Baptiste on a Baptiste Mercy based like comp, then wait one sec. Then like often you lose. So yeah, just like call the comp, call maybe like if you have to like get off cart with like sentry, you know, if you're on a bunker comp, like call if they have like a Junkrat, because Junkrat's like really good at shredding shields. So yeah, again, like for this is another thing for all heroes in the game, like call if the enemies make like a composition switch, you know, like some heroes that is especially important for if someone like, for example, is switching on or off of Widow, if someone is going Brig, if someone is switching over to like a dive comp, switching over to Arisa Sigma, you always want to call those changes so your team can play accordingly. Now Doomfist, essentially just call your engagements and like call when like you need healing, and that's basically it. And well, no, that's not true. If you have like a Grav like with a Zarya on your team, or if you have a Arisa Sigma, try to combo your Meteor Strike with that. If you don't, like use it to disengage, like use it with them, like combo up. So
and they say
yeah, that's it. Like okay, with Echo, Echo's not the best right now because of how strong like hit gens are, specifically Ashe and Widowmaker. However, call if someone's like low, who you're focusing with the beam, and when you're engaging, like specifically if you're on like an Echo like dive, that's very crucial. So yeah, like for example, you can say, oh, I'm jumping on their Ana, and then like you know, like BT corner, like jump on their Ana. I don't know my beam now, but you know, like you would like shoot the Ana like 2 times a beamer, or like use the bombs depending on the situation. And yeah, okay, Genji callouts are extremely important. Like a lot of DPS players specifically, I find, are out of voice chat, and that is a big mistake, dude. You know, because you always, comms are crucial for every hero in the game, and for Genji, especially like if you have an Ana, you need to know if that Ana has nano or not, because if you have to use your blade right one time and you don't want Ana to use nano, then and she nanos you, then that can lose you the game if you don't have nano next fight. But if you and this is the most common one, like if you want to go in and you don't call nano, you just like dash up and Ana doesn't nano you, they might say, oh well, you didn't call it, right? So you need to call when you have blade, when you're dashing up, you know, sometimes even where you are if the Ana can't see you. So yeah, like if you're getting boosted by a Mercy too, you can say, oh Mercy, can you Mercy can boost me, and then like you can go in with blade, even though Mercy's not like super viable. If you have one on your team, you can let her boost you. But yeah, just call like 2 if you are going to try, and this is a very specific scenario, but if you're going to try to like deflect a Grav or like an ultimate, say, oh, I'll try to deflect it, but you know, like not guaranteed. But I mean, yeah, that's just kind of like a preference thing. More so, actually, you know what, that is important. Yeah, like call if you're going to try to like deflect an ult, and let your team know. So Hanzo, similar to Genji and Doomfist, you want to combo your ultimates with other people, and you want to, because like Grav Dragon specifically, it's like a team wipe, right? Like if you get like even like 2 people, like you win that fight. So call when you have Dragon, call if you're close to Dragon, right? Call if you're close to like Blade 2 for Genji as well. I think that's very crucial. And yeah, like other than that, you don't need to make calls, like other than if people are picked off, which applies to like every hero. So yeah, like if you pick them off, obviously, like then you can say, or if you like get kills, then you say, oh guys, we can engage. Or if your team gets killed, then you can say, oh guys, we should back up. So Junk Junk, you don't really need to make calls, like other than like if you're tiring, right? You can just say, you can say like where you're spamming, but like even that is not like completely necessary. You know, just like call out when you're tiring, and be sure to like play with your team. And like if you have a pull, you can do like pull into like shoot mine like that, or like pull tire even can be very good. Pull grab, you know. So yeah, that's about it for Junkrat. Comms aren't like insanely important for him. So for Mccree, you want to call like who you're flashing specifically, like if it's a Ryan, or no, well, you don't want to call like who you're flashing, but if it's like an important target, you can say like if you flash above a Ryan shield, right? Because Ryan shield is like a rectangle, like kind of like this. So if you like flash above a shield or like below it, right? Then you can say, oh, Ryan flashed, or you can call preemptively like a flash on the Ryan, so that way your team can all pressure him when he's stunned. But yeah, just call out when you have your ultimate, call out when you get a pick. Nothing special. You don't need to say like when you don't have a cooldown or anything. Unless you're trying to like set up like a play with flash. But yeah. Mei is practically an off tank in the DPS category with less HP than an off tank. So you want to be making like a lot of calls. You want to say when you have your wall specifically, you want to say who's frozen. You want to say if you have your ult or not. And you want to say like if someone's freezing or if they're frozen. So you can say, like let's say, okay, hold on. Let me give a good example. Let's say if I say, oh, Arisa freezing, right? And then like that could force her fortify. Then I can say, oh, Arisa no fortify. You guys can push Arisa. And then like I wall her off from her team. Yeah, we keep freezing the Arisa, and then we get the kill. So yeah, that's a very important call out. You know, if you're on like a Mei like rush comp, for example, like Mei Reaper, or well, that's not even like a rush comp necessarily, but like yeah, you know, like just call when you have your wall up and call when you're like engaging and freezing, basically. Actually, yeah, Mei would be a rush comp, like if you're playing with like Lucio Moira. So yeah, but anyways, or yeah, with like Mei Reaper. All right, so for Pharah. Pharah, you know, I'd argue is even like less meta than Echo. However, you know, you want to call like who's low if you're booping anyone, and call if you have barrage, so that way you can combo with your teammates. Other than that, nothing too important. Just, you know, call like you would on most other characters. All right, Reaper, you want to call out like like who's low and to focus the target, and call out your blossoms, because if you don't have a Genji on your team, like Nano Blossom is very good, and Reaper's not like super like meta right now. He's not like an unorthodox character, but he's very like he can be like gimmicky sometimes, you know, and if people can like see through that and counter it, then Reaper doesn't have much of a use. So, you know, say like if you're flanking as well, like looking for a pick, and if you are going to go for a blossom, like call that, and yeah. So Soldier, surprisingly, there are a decent amount of calls that you can call for him. So say when you have your ultimate, it's important, but it's not like as crucial as some other characters, since Visor, you know, if someone can consistently like track headshots, and or even just like body shots, like Visor's only good for like faster reload. But other than that, just like if your team is low, call like where your healing station is. I'll say like, oh, there's like a biofield by you guys. So yeah, but other than that, you know, unless you're doing like a nano visor with your Ana or like window visor, you don't really need to call anything out. But you know, call your biotic field, especially if your team is low. So Sombra, you want to call out who's hacked all the time, like you hack them. So you can say, for example, right? Let's say on Temple of Anubis, like second point, if you hack the Mega below the bridge, you can say, oh, Mega below hacked. If they have a Rhine, you can say like their Rhine's hacked, you know, whatever, right? You want to say like how close you are to EMP too, like especially like if you are, like if you're getting close to EMP, then you can say, oh, I have EMP in 30%. It's like 70% right now. Like you don't need to do that whole sentence, but like, you know, you can say EMP at 70%, or just like press Z or Z.
EMP is charging.
So yeah, just call out who's hacked. If you EMP, you want to say like, oh wait, one sec. Like if a whole team is hacked, or if it's just one person, and call out if you get kills or who you want to focus just like other heroes in the game. So yeah. So as Symmetra, if your team is coordinating a teleporter play, you always want to say where that teleporter is. You know, so that way like your entire team can follow up. Because for example, on Lijiang Tower, Symmetra can actually be quite good, like even at high levels of play. You know, like you can I forget the name of the map, but you know, like the one with like the windows, right? Like on like the two windows on like one side of this roof, right? And like Symmetra, like she goes by like the choke by I can't speak, by her team spawn, and then places a teleporter by the window, and then they just like drop onto point. So, and then there's like another one, right, where it's like mirrored. There's like one window on one side, one window on the other side. Symmetra's also good there. And for Lijiang Control Center, I remember the name of that one. Like the one without windows, you don't really run Symmetra there, other than to just get like some momentum, maybe like off teleporter at the start, like to get some extra speed. So yeah. So as Torb, surprisingly, like you don't really always need to call like where your turret is, but you want to call like where the molten core is, you know, like how big it is, like how many people are in it, like if you have it. But you know, other than that, nothing out of the ordinary. So yeah, that was a quick one. But all right, Tracer, you want to say when you're engaging, if you have a dive comp, and you also want to say when you have pulse, if you're going to combo with other people. That's very crucial for Tracer, because Tracer is a character best like that really benefits from like team coordination, right? Like all heroes in the game do to some extent, of course, right? But Tracer, I feel like especially does. Certainly like with like a dive comp or with a comp that revolves around the Tracer. So yeah. All right, Widow, call if you're flanking, call if you pick off, call if you're going for a jump shot, and say like, hey guys, you know, I have infrasight up, take advantage of infrasight. And yeah, that's about it. So also, you want to say like if the enemy team is on a Widow, like you want to call like that your duel, excuse me, that you were going to duel that Widow, because the most important thing as Widowmaker is to shut down the other Widowmaker if the enemy team has it. So next hero, Ana, you want to call like a lot of things. You want to call if someone slept. You want to call like antis, you know, like how many people are anti. Like if you say like, oh, big anti, then you know you wanna call that. And you also want to call like if you have Nano. Since Nano Blade is meta, you want to say, yo Genji, I have Nano, do you have Blade? And then if Genji says, yeah dude, I have Blade, you know, then you guys can push in with it. But yeah. Also, I forgot earlier, as Ryan, you want to call out how big your shatter is, and just like in general, like you want to call out like how big your like ults are going to be, or what it appears like. So your team can like be ready to not use ultimates if that fight is won. So Baptiste, you know, immortality field, it is 25-second cooldown, so like it's extremely long, and it's a very powerful ability, you know, like it makes you immortal, right? So you always want to call when you have that. You also want to call like when you have window, and like when you do or don't have like immortality. But yeah, that's about it. It's mainly like your immortality you have to call. And yeah. Also, as like support too, it's also good to like say if you're reloading, or like if you're Ashe, especially like Ashe has like an extremely like long reload. Like look at this, right?
My business,
like you guys like know how long the reload is, but like that's a few like precious seconds of time, right? And you need to say that to your team, that you're like reloading. So all right, Brig, you know, Brig, just say when you're engaging. It's more like listening to your team as Brig. Like if they ask for like a pack, you know, like be sure to like always pack them, and just try to like deny like flankers from engaging on your team, and then yeah, you're doing your job. So like and a lot of heroes in the game as well, like you rely off more of listening to your team than actually like executing a play. And I think that just depends less about like the character sometimes, and more about like just who's more talkative on the team, really. So yeah, but anyways, with Lucio, call when you have amp. Always call when you have amp. Call when you're amping. Right? Say what what part of your kit you're amping. So let's say if you're amping speed, you can say, oh, amping speed, go ahead. But if you're like amping heal, you can say amping heal, you know. You can call like how big your boops are too. Like call if you boop someone off the map. Like that's for every hero, you know. A lot of these tips apply for every hero. And yeah, you know, as Mercy, like say if you're with someone, if you're not, like if you have LOS on them, that's a very important tip for like supports to like say if you have LOS, because if you don't have line of sight onto your teammates, then they can die, which makes it a 6v5, and your team could be, which makes it a 5v6, sorry, and then your team would be likely to lose that fight. So you gotta be careful. Moira, call if you have pull, call if you're out of heal juice. That's about it. You don't really need to call when you have your fade cooldown or not, because it's so quick. You know, like it's 6 seconds. So
Understood.
Yeah, that's about it. And last but not least, Zenyatta. Always call your discords. Call if people are on you, because Zen is a very vulnerable hero. He's not very meta right now, so I don't recommend you play him. But he can be viable in some comps, specifically like Baptiste or Brig Zen. You know, like if it's a very coordinated team, like very coordinated, like don't try to like pull it off in ranked unless you're, you know, like really extremely confident that it'll work. But yeah, just call your discords, call when you have trends, and call when people are on you. That's important for a lot of supports. So yeah, that's my guide on callouts. I really hope you all enjoy, and yeah, have a great day, you all. Peace out. Love you all. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.